Hi. Okay, you guys can hear the problem. I sound like I'm at the bottom of the Grand Canyon talking to you. It started doing this when I tried to go live. So I found it sound rather otherworldly. Anyway, can y'all come back in like 3 minutes? I'm going to split the screen and see if that helps. And because I got to get rid of this. I'll talk to you in a minute. Bye. Okay. Ah, I solved it. I'm still here, I think. Oh, goody. I figured out what it was. Okay. Whoa. Anyway, hi. Welcome to Automatic Writing. None of my things yesterday said we'd have that sort of thing, although we have, 5 planets in Pisces today, including the moon. Kind of a crazy day. It's gone. You're right. I figured out how to get rid of it. Anyway, uh, the reason I've decided to go to StreamYard is two reasons. One is I've found a way, supposedly, to be able to set up a second camera on here, but apparently that's what was causing the echo. So I'm going to have to work on that some more. But also, if you're going to, today we're going to do automatic writing, or actually, I'm going to be using the pattern that I finally learned as an adult. That's the best one, and it's called Angelspeake. And their whole book is about speaking, how to speak with your angels. And basically, the book is about doing what they don't call it automatic writing, they call it automatic dictation. And they've got the whole pattern of what you need to do automatic writing, to get yourself ready. And I'm going to go through all that. But before that, the reason I wanted to be able to have a second camera so we can see on the table, because in order for me to show you things on this table that's right beside me, I was having to set up my own cell phone as a second camera, and it was very difficult, very tedious. It took an hour every time I wanted to switch. So StreamYard came up with this thing where you can create a second camera in your studio. And I thought I had done that, and that's what the echoing was from that other camera. So I'm going to have to figure out how to mute the other camera more effectively than I was doing, so that we don't all think that I live at the bottom of the sea, which is perfectly good. If it's got 5 planets in Pisces, you may as well be at the bottom of the sea. So that's, sorry about the rough beginning here, but I'm learning, just learning how to do all this stuff. Mostly I want this though because next Thursday we're going to be, Kathy McConnell's going to be my guest, and she is the healer who helped me clear up my lungs from my post pneumonia stuff and got me to where the doctors say my lungs sound completely clear. I use no asthma medicine. I haven't wheezed at all. I made it through. And I think Cardamancy Mesquite's here. I don't know. I can't imagine it, Miss Mesquite, because if you're from the Mesquite, I think you are from, that's a city right near me. And we have had a terrible allergy season, and it started early. Both my kids just got wiped out by it. I've had several friends that can't make it through a phone call without going into hacking coughing. And they're like, why aren't you wheezing? Why aren't you coughing? Because this spring used to be the worst time of year for me, and I'm completely clear. So Kathy's going to come on, and we're going to discuss um, the healing method that she used on me and what she's developed over the last year and working with a lot of different people. And we're going to explain what the system is, talk about the energies we think she's working with, that she's discussing that, and she's going to get it set up, because the next time Kathy comes, we're going to actually have everybody that wants to, that's in the group, that's watching the show, get into the meditation, and she's going to work healing on you. But we want you to understand where you're going to be feeling so that you can really get into it. And part of the problem is that she's going to set the hi Vivian. They're going to set up the meditation, and then she's going to go to the room where she actually does the work. We're not going to get to see that. We just have to sit there and quietly receive her message. And I wasn't sure I could invite a room full of people to come without a much better explanation than I had, to sit there for 15 minutes because, some people can't sit still for 15 minutes. Me having been one a long time ago. So, anyway, but it's going to be a fascinating show. We're going to describe it. Then you're going to decide if you want to come join the group when we do it. Yes, if you have a son that needs healing, you can bring anybody in you want, because what she's going to do is open it up to her energetics, to understanding what group she's pulling in. And when I first met Kathy, and you'll hear this again on Thursday, I was doing a grid for her, and I just told her that it was a hard day because my oxygen sats had gotten so bad that they were going into the upper 80s at night, which is brain damage level. And even with all the help I could get, they weren't getting much better than that. And she said, well, let me see if I can help you. And the reason she wanted to help me is because I wear a monitor to see where my oxygen sat levels are. That's how bad they are or were. And so I could show her. And the first time she worked with me, they jumped up into the upper 90s and stayed there. And then they slowly during the week, she works with me once a week, slowly during the week, they'd fade back. And then, but now after her working with me for a year, with the exception of when I had COVID, and I used my asthma stuff then just to stop it from getting anywhere near my lungs. That's the only time I've had to use an asthma inhaler at all. So she's worked great help, and she works with all kinds of stuff. I mean, you have to kind of self-define what you think she's working with. So that's Thursday. But today we are going to talk about automatic writing. And one of the questions I got from a lot of people about automatic writing when they posted after my announcement about it was, I'm going to go back and check and see if anybody put anything on this morning, was that people said, remember to protect yourself. Well, I would tell you that anyway, no matter whether it's automatic writing, working with a pendulum, reading cards. You need to have something to protect yourself, and I'm going to talk about it again. Oh, I got 11 questions, so look at those. I have for anybody who wants it, and I'm going to read it right now, and I'm going to protect all of us before we get into this stuff too far. I'm going to do the consuming flame for yourself, the violet flame for consuming. Beloved, mighty, I am present. Blaze through me now, your mighty violet consuming flame, the purifying power of divine love in its most powerful, dynamic, and active. Consume all cause, effect, record, memory forever of all human concepts, desires, and feelings in my being, in the world, and every mistake for which my outer self is responsible. Replace it with the Ascended Master's electronic substance of light, with love, purity, and perfection, and hold in your dominion. And the other one, I read the wrong one actually. This is the one that I use most often, and it's, I call upon the Archangel Zadkiel, the Ascended Master Saint Germain, Articus, Diana, Victoria, and all the angels of the violet rays. Blaze, 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 the violet flame in, through, and around this entire home, property, and vehicles. Violet flame, any and all low discordant energies that have been absorbed into this house, property, vehicles, do every nook, every cranny, every crystal, every stone, every piece of wood, every animal, every sheet, all the pillowcases, the blankets, the pillows, every piece of fabric, everything on this property. Transmute any and all low misguided energies. Transmute all cause, core, effect, record, and memory, known and unknown, past, present, and future, from all dimensions. Send this discord and misguided energy back to the original source of all that is, where it can be repolarized, regenerated back into the original white light state. When this has been completed, then return the white light back to this property. And now if you kind of visualize the angelic energy going around and sweeping up, all going around everything, then it goes up to the white light and it cleans it very quickly. And you can feel it ascend back down. And I kind of explain it this way. It's like you're calling in the energetics and the violet flame, which purges and pulls away the negative. Send it up to heaven and let it get repolarized. So you're not taking energy out of your environment, you're just getting it back clean. And it's kind of like a laundromat for bad stuff. And this prayer that I just read you, if you write me, and my email is below, I will be glad to send you a copy of this, because when I teach courses, I always put that in the first page and say for people to have this around them so they can clean. They also have a tube of light that you can put around yourself, and a wall of blue flame, which are also good shielding mechanisms. Because I had one woman who got this prayer when I was teaching garden classes, and she thought, oh, that's kind of interesting. So she went and she read it in the room where she was, and she said, that's kind of weird. And then she walked out in the other parts of her house, and apparently she'd been building up some negative energy over time, but it was so slow she didn't know it was there. But when she started cleaning each room, clearing it out, and you actually should only have to read this in one place in your house, but she must have had a bunch of stuff. Anyway, she wrote me a long letter about clearing it out. And then her friend came over later that day and she said, oh, did you get the windows cleaned? Did you get some new drapes? It's so much lighter in here. Even her friend could feel it. It's really important to become aware of the energy that's around you, especially in these times when we're trying so hard to understand energy and how to deal with it. So for those who want to know if I was going to give you something to protect yourself, if you do this before you start your writing, you will have called in the good energy to be around you. And I cleared out, it took a couple months, but I cleared out a vintage clothing store that had just had energy build up because they didn't know that was happening. And it took us a couple months, and we had this by the cash register, and they read it every day when they opened up. But it stopped a lot of the stuff that happens when you get around lots of collectibles and old stuff, because it brings in its energy when the people bring it in to be sold. So that's the violet flame. And start clearing it out. Or if you have something else, you can do singing bowls, you can do sage. I used to have trouble with sage because of my lungs. I could do sage now, I think, and it wouldn't bother me. Seascape, if you contact me, my email should be in the description below. I will send it to you. Just put violet flame in the subject and I will send them out to you. I have no problem. I really want to share this. Someone shared it with me. That's how I learned it. And you can use it in all of your various and sundry practices. Now, automatic writing. Like I said, I want to use this as a text. You can get this book. You can see this is not a fat book. You could read this book in an afternoon. I think it's 121 pages. And it was written by two sisters who, in the 1970s, they'd been raised in the Midwest in Kansas together. And in the 1970s, one lived on the East Coast and one lived on the West Coast. And they tell their story in here about how separately, but at the same time, they started being woken up in the middle of the night and said, listen to us. You have to teach others how to listen to us. And the angels dictated this book to them. And I had worked with automatic writing, just like I'd worked with cards and lots of other things. I did know to protect myself, but their description of how to work with automatic writing and how to write intentions, it's probably, I mean, I wish I'd had it when I was younger because it has a lot of real good wisdom in it. And the book's kind of fascinating because I don't know if I can show the pages. Yeah. If you see, there's black print that's on here and there's red print. The red print is when the angels are speaking, when they're channeling the angels in. And that the page that we were looking at there was they were running workshops on how to do this. And this was people, they were taking the replies that people got from the angels. Um, and uh, like that, one of the questions one of the people asked was, what if I sit down to write and no one is there? And the angels answered, one of us is always there. Barbara and Trudy were married, and about Barbara and Trudy, who are the two women who wrote this book, were married about this too at the very beginning. Worried, I'm sorry, my glasses, I need new glasses. Were worried about this too at the beginning, but it has never happened. If it should happen to you, take a nap. It's probably meant that you're too tired for you to really be able to be in a receiving mode. After you've had a rest, take 3 deep breaths and begin again. They tell you the best way to approach your angels is to ask them for their advice, and then believe and trust what they say. That I think is the hardest thing for most people, because when I teach tarot or when I teach how to do different things, people go, what if it's not right? Well, that's just your ego getting in the way saying you can't do this, but you can do this. So trust it. Let it happen. When you begin writing, just let it happen. I struggled. The piece I put up that was a sort of, what do they call that? The little picture that they put with that you're posting, that is actually a piece of some of my early, like 2016 automatic writing. And I was fighting it all the way, I mean, and I showed it to my daughter and I said, what do you think of that? And she said, well, I know you write better than that when you used to drink, Mom, so I don't think that's what it was. She said, you were just fighting it. Believe and trust in what they're trying to sell you. Then just let it happen. And then once you've done a little bit of automatic writing, just say thank you. Um, what what can you use it for? Well, when my daughter and I were going to have to make a move, we were going to move out of the high rise we were living in because it was under new management. It was just becoming a war to live there. So my daughter and I knew when our lease was up and I was going to go find us a new place to live. And it was 2018. And I sat down one day and she gave me a couple of ideas of things she really wanted included in it. And then I just sat down and started writing on a piece of paper everything we wanted, just everything. I basically asked the angels, what can I find? What can I find that will suit us the best? And we wanted a 2-bedroom, 2-bath with 2 bedroom areas that were big enough that there are 2 grown adults going to be sharing this. We wanted a reasonably nice modern kitchen. I wanted a den or a little place where I could read and set up my reading to do my cards and my crystals and things. My daughter wanted a fireplace because we'd never lived where there was one. We'd lived one time with a wood burning stove, and she wanted a fireplace again. And I wanted a little patio where I could put some plants and do things like that. And I said it'd be nice if we could have like a hall bath too. I know 2 1.5 baths in Dallas are very dear to find. And with all the other stuff, I was like, well, good. And I put the amount of square footage. And then I wanted to be less than 20 minutes from my daughter's work, because that's the other reason we were moving is she was driving all the way across Dallas. And that's a long way in case you've never been here. But she was driving from By Love Field out to north of LBJ. So anybody who knows the city, you'll know it was a trudge. And she wanted to live closer to where she worked. And I don't care. I mean, where I lived, it didn't matter. So, and I put, I wanted to be, and so I remember I looked it up, and if driving normal road speeds without going on any highways, it had to be 6.8 miles from our house. Yeah, DFW is spread out. So I wrote it all out, and then I tucked it away. And then the next Monday, my daughter during Sunday had gone looking for some places. And she left me kind of a list of places to look at. So I had paid no attention to it. I woke up, it was a rainy Monday in October, and we didn't have to move till January. And I just got, oh, and rainy rainy days in the fall in Texas are really miserable because they're really cold compared to what we're used to, and they are really wet, and people don't know how to drive on rain here, so that's the other little problem. So I rolled over and I said, no, I'm just going to sleep because it's going to be a cloudy day. I can sleep peacefully. And the next thing I know, my angels are nudging me, Addie and Frank. They're going, nope, you're going out. You're going to go find a place to live today. And I went, why today? It's October. We've got till January. I was the kid that wrote their book report the night before it was due. And I got up and I got dressed and I just picked 3 things out of the listings just to see how accurate they were. And I went to the first one, and they had a 2-bedroom that would have been adequate, that would have worked out well for us, but they were not sure they'd have any on the first floor. And I needed to be on the first floor, and they were flats. So you were either on the first floor, second floor, or third floor. I knew I wasn't doing the third floor because my knees wouldn't do third floor then. So I marked it down, and then I went to the next place, and there wasn't even anybody in the office to show me anything. And I went, well, this sucks. So then by now it's really starting to get really rainy, and I said, okay, I'm going to go to the last one, even though I really didn't want to. And I drove up to it, and I pulled in, and it looked like a complex that I lived in for 25 years. That was a condominium complex that I owned the unit in. And it had been my real home as an adult. And I went, oh, this looks a lot like Bordeaux. So I pull up and I go in and I meet the woman who's the manager, and I explained to her what I want. And she said, well, we actually have all those things. We have townhouses that ring the apartment complexes, but they rarely come up. There's only, I think there were 30 of them, and people never moved out of them. But she said, but we do have a 2-bedroom that would do for you. We can, on the first floor. And so I said, well, could I look at one? And she said, no, because we're so full that the only one I would have that I could possibly show you is being redone. And when they're turning an apartment, they can't show it to you. That's kind of the law. Um, so she said she'd call me when I could come see one. So a week later, she called me. And since it was so close to my daughter's work, she drove over, and we went in, and we went into the 2-bedroom that she said would be available. And we said, yeah, we liked it. And could she hold one? And since we're here so early, would that work? And she said, I can do you one better than that. She said, one of the people in the townhomes has just told us that they're going to be leaving, but they're not going to leave till January. And they were going to leave like during Christmas. And then we needed to move in at the latest, the middle of January. And she said, if you're interested in that one, I can show you the floor plan, but we can't show it to you because they're still living in there. And she said, I can show you the door, and we can walk around the building. You can see where it is. So she took us over there, and my daughter and I saw it just without being able to see inside, but just by understanding the size and stuff. We said, we'll take it. And I said, how much of a deposit do I need to put down? And she said, oh, you just need to put down a deposit on your dog because they're going to be leaving and you're going to be coming in, and the deposit was the pet deposit. And she said, because it just takes it off my books having to worry about it. And when we moved into the place, it had everything. It had the fireplace, it had the patio, it had a den that had a half bath off of it. That was our guest bath. It was perfect. It was just exactly what I'd put down on the sheet. And then I was showing it to some friends. This is back when you could still go out and be with people. And they said, what's this 6.5 miles at the bottom? And I said, oh, I figured that was the amount we needed to drive for Kate to be within the parameter of what Casey wanted for her drive time. And so we Googled it. And the apartment that I got was 6.5 miles from where her office is on the campus. So it works. Auto dictation works. what you need to have is you need to be protected. You need to do the 4 steps I said. Thank you, Jennifer, so much. Thank you for helping support the channel, because I did have to buy StreamYard. But you ask your angels to be with you. Believe and trust that they will be there. Just let it happen. Relax and let it happen. And then always say thank you when they're finished. And if and they call it auto dictation, and they have 7 steps, and I'll go through those real quickly with you. The first step is to pray that you'll get the truth in what you're seeking and what you're hearing. To remember to breathe. I find that's one of the parts I get all wound up. Like today I was building grids and I was all scrunched up building grids. And I remember at one point I kind of got stopped and I stuck, and I was like, oh God, this is never going to work. And all of a sudden I realized I wasn't breathing. And as soon as I breathed, I knew exactly where to go find the stones I needed to finish what I was working on. So I learned you have to breathe. You have to listen. You have to listen to what they're saying and just put that down on paper. They're communicating with you, and I say I hear them because I hear the words, but it's like when you're recalling a conversation. It's not that you actually have the vibration of the words in your ears. And the harder you try to write, the less flow there'll be. If you just relax and just start, even if it's just writing an occasional word you catch, that will help you. And when these 2 sisters say, when they first started doing this, they thought, I'm just writing what I'm thinking. They're my own thoughts. But then she began to realize she was seeing things that she didn't have any ability to see, so it worked. Then you just have to accept the important parts, accept what you can understand. And then you get to a point of inner knowing, and it's, like doodling. You can start by doodling, but you will know. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to plan it. You don't have to start scratching out words. Just look at it and accept the total message, and then trust that these are from spiritual gifts. This is when, under the trust, the angels say something beautiful. What we tell you is the best information we have at the time you receive it. We do not want to run your life. This is for a guidance to speed you along your way and to teach you the skills you need to do your life's work. These are spiritual gifts. You did not have to do anything to get them. They come from spirit. You do not have to dissect it for accuracy. Don't worry about that. Free will and different timetables will happen. And that's like when readers, when we talk about, don't come back and ask me about a reading I did for you a couple weeks ago, later, and expect me to remember it, because we're conveying to you what's information for you. The angels are saying, we're giving you information that you can use. And they have, so you can, it's how after I read this book, then I knew I had Addie. I knew I had a guide named Addie because I'd seen her. Yeah, and a banana. A lot of people do come out of their meditations and write down what they've seen, because it's the same thing. With automatic writing, you're just writing at this, or automatic dictation, you're just taking down the notes at the time you're hearing them. I sat down and I knew I had Addie as a guide, and I wanted to helping me, but I knew I had another one that I had sensed for a long time. So I just sat down, and I had a bunch of different colored pencils, and I just picked up whatever color was there on the table and started writing on the page. And I wrote my own question at the top. I said, do I have another guide? Or who is my other guide? And the first word I wrote was Frank. And then it sketched some things, about Frank. What he, Addie is my guide that keeps me, protects me, and keeps me in contact with the spirit world. Frank is my protector. I mean, if anyone wants to come and cause me harm, Frank is there. And I even had another medium who said, "Oh, can I see your guides?" Because that's sort of a polite way to say, I want to see these folks. And so I said, "Sure." Actually, it was Medium Kim. And I said, and all of a sudden she went, "Whoa." And I said, "What?" And she said, "Can you call him back?" Um, and I said, "Okay, Frank, come back." And I said, "Frank, she just wanted to see you. She wasn't going to try to harm me." And she said, "That is one big guardian angel." I don't know what EERT is, but Camille, I write in my diary almost, I guess that's every day. That's another thing to do, is to just write something every day. Just try to do this practice every day. Give yourself a time limit. Say, I'm going to try this for 14 days and see what happens. Some people, it works like a charm. I have some exceptional things that have happened because I've done it. Other people don't find it, and don't find it comfortable, and they'd rather record what's going on around them different ways. Uh, I did see an interesting YouTube show, and it's about a guy who, his philosophy was to show me for your worst piece of writing you've ever done, and just show it to me, so it gets exposed, so you get past that fear. And he has a program where he has people write every day for 100 days, and it doesn't matter if you're heading towards a novel, if you're just keeping notes of what your day's like. But this guy has you do it every day for 100 days. And then he creates groups where people swap and share what they're learning from each other and what they're learning about what they're doing. And he's written a whole book about it. And he has they took his workshop, a group did. It's called Akimbo, Akimbo, akimbo.com. And if you go there, they will let you know about what kind of how the thing is structured and when they have workshops and stuff if you're interested in. But you can just do it on your own and see if it works for you. Um, I'm not going to sit here and demonstrate automatic writing because you need to be relatively relaxed. And somehow I can't be in front of a computer and running everything and trying to follow what y'all are saying and, you know, get it get it going. But yeah, and you can pray for peace. You can pray for uh, other other items. I mean, it's not just for stuff for you. It's just if you do stuff for you, I can tell you where I've seen something come to fruition through my own life. But, I'm not always looking for apartments and things. Okay, Tammy, can I show your comment? Um, yeah, I mean, that's true. And if you're in the middle of something either troubling or happy or different, you can share it that way and learn about it. Um, I know there's a lot of people that are very, very upset right now with all of the stuff that's going on in the world. Okay. And I did that without asking your permission. Um, I know who Tammy is. Uh, it's it can help you. It can, and you can see something from another side. If you can write, if I tried to write with my left hand, this is the comment I'm going to go to. If I tried to write with my left hand, I wouldn't know what I was writing about. But if you can write with both hands, that's fine. Does it matter? No, I don't think so. And it's just a skill. I used to have a lot of my people when I was trying to learn tarot and stuff, they'd say write down a card a day, and that's what I did, and that's 78 cards and all the other stuff. And I would pull out a different card every day, and I would sit and look at it, and I would just write what struck me about that card. And that's um, that's another way to do it. I have a closing prayer at the end of my sessions. Um, I thank all the energy that's helped me through it, and that's it. Have like, I don't have a violet flame for the end of the day. I just do some deep breathing. But that's a good idea, because sometimes I'll do a reading for somebody, and my mind won't completely close down to it. And I've had to call a couple people back and say, and oh, by the way, how about this? Because I got this message after we were off. I did a past life for someone, and after I did their past life, no, Tammy, okay, this is typical question. Are these the things that I'm talking about, or if it's my ego? That's what people tend to think. It's my ego that's saying this, not me. That's why I'm suggesting, really, if you can get this book off Amazon. When I first heard about this book, it was out of print, and I had to order it from a British bookstore called Thrift Books. That's the only way I could find it. But now it's back in print because Trudy, one of the sisters, Barbara, has died. But Trudy Griswold, she actually has a website. You can go talk to her. She's a lovely lady, and she said you can get on her once a week. She sends you an angel thought, and they're really lovely. They're very, very calming and soothing. And I've never personally met her. I've talked to her once on a call-in show through Hay House. But uh, her book, and I read her book the same year I read Radley Valentine's Being Your Own Genie. And both those books, for me, hit me at exactly the right time to help me move forward and understanding who and what I was and how I needed to work with my own talents and abilities. And that's kind of it. And as y'all know, if you watched my show on that went up on Saturday night, kind of an awkward time, but tech support was sick all week, and that's the first time he could get it up. I did a show with Dorothy Morgan on astrology, and we did on the astrology we're going into for the next couple months. Oh, okay, Libra lady. Anyway, go look at that if you haven't seen it. It's in my playlist, and she brings up a lot of things, and we do have the eclipse at the end of this week on the 30th. It's going to be visual. It will be visible in Antarctica. So I don't expect a whole bunch of folks that are on this chat will be watching that. Libra lady, okay, you don't need to write with a pen. They talk about this. You can write with a pen. You can get pencils. You can type it on a computer if you're good enough. I can't type fast. It'll work with a keyboard. If you ask them to address it that way, it'll work with a keyboard. I'm just more secure with pen and paper. I can't type. Now, my youngest son, tech support, that's the only way he'd ever do this if he ever did it, is he'd have to do it on a keyboard. He can type at the speed of a court reporter. It's just unreal watching him type. Thank you, Helene. Um, it was a good show with Dorothy, and I'm really proud of it. And I try to bring in experts when I'm in fields that are totally outside my ability to handle it. And I'm currently working on getting a numerologist on to talk about numerology, because I know enough numerology to be able to make parts of it work, but it's not the same as talking to somebody who really understands what they're looking at. And does anybody else have any questions? Yeah, your handwriting does change. My handwriting shifts all over the place. Sometimes I look like I actually did all those loops in the 4th grade and learned the Palmer method, and sometimes it doesn't. And I did just see uh, a neurologist who was talking about the importance of teaching young children to use their hands. And his whole thing was, if your index finger or is if your ring finger is much longer than your index finger, or this one's much shorter, it actually shows a difference in your ability to process certain things, and that they're finding that the best way to get around those, and it has something to do with the amount of androgen you got when you're in utero. It was This is the stuff I watch, guys. It For me, it was very interesting, and mine are actually the same, my two fingers, and that means that I have a very balanced view on things. But um, that's a subject I would like to do another show on, which is Lilac Lantern. Andrea, she used to read poems, and that's how she kind of got into the world of woo. And she and I did a show on palms one time. It was kind of interesting. We had a lot of people watching. I think it's an interesting science to know just for yourself, if nothing else. Um, so you can type it, you can write it, you can draw it, you can do whatever floats your boat. Just if you try to do it, just pick a pick 10 days, pick 5 days that you're going to try it, and see what happens. Oh, I referenced he has Archangel Wisdom Tarot. I use his cards a lot. If you've ever had a reading from me, when I do readings for people, I do a little mini reading before the person even gets online with me. I pull 3 cards, past, present, and future, on where they are right now. And I sit down and I write it all out before I meet with them. So it gives me a chance to see if I'm connecting with the right person. I normally use one of Radley's Angel Wisdom Tarot decks to do that. And the book that I talk about from Radley, it's called Being Your Own Genie. And that's genie like Genie. And it's about how you can free yourself from your insecurities about as your skills and abilities progress. I've met Radley twice, once in Denver and once in Austin. He came and he did Angels and Auras with, I hate to say it, but I'm blanking. I'm not good with names when I'm in the zone, but is a very lovely guy who does colors. And they did Angels and Colors, and it was a fascinating workshop. And but uh, I like his decks. I like his point of view on his decks. He did a couple decks. He had a deck that he did with fairies that was, the images are so elaborate on it. I literally can't read it because there's so much stuff happening on that card. I like sort of simple cards. Um, but most of his decks, I really find the Archangel decks I find very, very good. And he has some Oracle decks, and uh, hi Celtic Seer. Yeah, go back because I've spent 40 minutes to getting us this far. I'm not gonna. But basically, it is to. I'm just going to emphasize once again what the Angelspeake book says. If you're going to start to do uh, automatic writing or automatic dictation, is what they call it, because the angels are dictating to you. Um, After you've done a prayer of protection for yourself, ask the angels to be with you. Believe and trust that in what they put there. Let it happen. Just beginning writing, same loving voice that you've been hearing for many years, probably, if it's an angel that's been around you. And then finally say thank you. It's really that simple. And it really is. And it's a, in looking up stuff to get the show together, I went back through all of these notebooks I've kept for the last 5 years. Um, and I was starting to read some things, and I'm like, oh, yeah, and that did happen. Oh, yeah, well, and that one didn't. Especially the stuff I was asking about in the late fall and winter of 2019 because then 2020 happened. Although one thing did happen that I wrote about in 2019. I said, some days my schedule seems so crowded. Could I get it to be more simple? COVID took care of that. Yep. And just there's all kinds of ways to learn how to write. One of the things, if I get to a point where I'm like, I'm repeating myself or I'm boring me, I have a book of Meister Eckhart, the guy who's sort of a lot of his thoughts were the inspiration. He's a medieval mystic. He lived in the 1100s. And uh, he has little snippets of things he says, and sometimes I'll use that as a base to start thinking. If you have another uh, person that you like to listen to, or somebody who gives you quick little snippets to fire your brain off, use that. So it doesn't always have to be a question. It can be a, a, just an idea. I'll tell you. Let me see. This part I didn't organize, so we're gonna just fall off the ledge and okay. And this is sort of thing. It's phrases like this that he puts in there. If you could see just for a moment, a split second of time, the eternally green birthing power of God, you would not be able to recall your past, your present, suffering, or pain. And so I looked at that, and he thinks God's green. Your soul, your pure soul, is untouched by flesh, unbounded by time, exclusively for God, who is green and flowering with all the joy and power. And I'll read something like that, and then I'll just stop, and I'll let my hand go, and they'll start commenting on that and how it relates to where I need to remember that. So, yes, I think it is time to do love and peace to everybody. We've done 45 minutes. I'm kind of talked out. If anybody has a question you just cannot live without hearing an answer to it, type it in the next minute, or else we're going by. I'm going to go take the rest of the day off. I already built 4 grids today. Well, 1, 2. Okay, thank you. And thank you to the lovely lady who donated to me, and thank you to other people who've supported me in other ways. And remember, Nancy Angelwolf, next Thursday, it's 1 p.m. Central Daylight Time. I don't know what time zone you're in, but next Thursday, I want to remind you guys, Kathy McConnell's going to be here. She's presenting a whole new interesting process in energetic work that I think you will find very interesting. She's talking about the 4th state of matter, plasma, and working through that energy to heal people. And that's really important with all of the ley line work and earth energetics. It's going to be a fascinating show. It's going to set you up for part 2, where she's going to facilitate a healing, and everybody's going to have to explain to them what they need to be there and how to bring it in. If you have a friend, yeah, that lady does interest. I'm used to Twitter with that lady on that does the automatic writing on the Holzer files. She's a real sweetie. And goodbye to everybody. Blessings. But do come next Thursday if you're interested in healing. If you know anyone who wants to find out more about distance healing, Kathy is wonderful. I've used her for a year. And I also, if you've never been to the Ascension Playground, they're on every Saturday in the morning. Go over there, because one of the founders of that, Jimmy Monson, is a distance healer. And both of these people currently work for free, and I don't think Jimmy will ever charge. I don't know what Kathy's going to do, because she's got to make a living. But they both have very interesting takes, and both of them have really led to enormous differences in my life. So I can just testify to that. Anyway, I will talk. Yeah, Cindy Kaza. Yeah, she's lovely. I wrote her an email and she sent it back. But I'll talk to you later. And if you want a reading or something like that, just get a hold of me through either my emails or go to my website. And my store has everything. And by the way, on my website, I now have a slideshow of over 100 of the grids that I've made in the last year. And that's kind of fun to look at. Anyway, thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all of you who subscribe and like and share and do all those good things. I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.